Hello and welcome to Property Investment Blueprint Podcast. I am with Jozef Toth. Jozef Toth is a massive deal sourcer in Edinburgh as well as England as well. So he's doing really well in his property investment journey. He only started 3 years ago. Since he started 3 years ago, he's been able to actually buy and sell over 60 properties with his investors. He doesn't just help the investors buy these properties, he also helps them actually renovate the property, get the property rented, and obviously hand it back to them. So I'm super delighted to actually have Jozef here. Jozef, welcome to Property Investment Blueprint.
Rahim and everyone who is listening or watching the podcast, thank you very much for having me, and also for your invitation for this podcast. I'm very excited to talk with you about the journey of deal sourcing and also to tell you my story a little bit. So thanks again, and hope we will have some fun and we will have a good talk.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jozef. Really appreciate you taking the time joining us today. I know you're busy. You're driving just now, just able to arrive in your house on time to sit with me. So yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This story isn't as good unless people know where you came from and how you started your property investment journey. So tell our audience how you started and able to scale your property business in 3 years to be able to acquire 60 properties within this short period of time. So really tell us a bit about yourself and how you got started.
All right. So basically I came to Scotland in 2017 and it was a new country for me. I never been in the UK before. I'm originally from Slovakia. I have been living in other countries, in Denmark before and also in New Zealand, but Scotland and generally UK was very new for me. So the first thing I started to do when I came here was cleaning. I started to build a cleaning business, doing the job myself and getting to know the properties from the cleaning viewpoint.
Yeah.
At that time, I didn't know, I had no idea that I will end up selling deals to investors. But anyway, so for the first 2 years, I've been building a cleaning business, and I got to the point where we had about 20 employees with about 120 clients, regular clients. We were doing domestic cleanings and commercial cleanings, nurseries, offices, and stuff like that. So I established myself well in Edinburgh, and I guess people who come from Eastern Europe, you know, these kind of jobs are probably the first jobs that we take: cleaning, painting, decorating, construction work. So that's where really there is always possibilities to get some work. So that's how I started. And then the pandemic came in, and just before the pandemic, I was thinking, okay, the business is running well. The cleaning business was kind of all right, but I was thinking for a long future, maybe that kind of business is not really what I want to do long term, because it's very depending on employees. It's very depending on a lot of factors that have to sit in. So I was very stressed. Every Sunday, I remember it was difficult because I was stressed to go Monday morning to the work to handle all the issues that we had. So I ended up selling the cleaning business. I sold the cleaning business. And just before I did that, I started to look into deal sourcing, and I went for some training. And very slowly, since July 2019, I became a full-time deal sourcer. So, you know, there are several trainings and lots of quality trainers where you can learn about properties. And I kind of knew that property is the thing I want to do for a long-term future, but I had no idea what exactly can I actually do in the property area, because, you know, there are a lot of options. You can be a letting agent, you can be an estate agent, you can, if you have some cash in your pocket or you have some investors, you can start your own projects, buying and refurbishing properties. So I went for a training, and I took quite a bit of time until I decided what I really want to do. And in September 2019, I have opened Focus Sourcing Ltd. And since then, I'm full-time. This is the only activity I do full-time for living.
Okay.
It hasn't been easy, to be honest. When I was first at the training with lots of other people, we were like 1,500 people in the room. And the trainer was talking about deal sourcing, and he was explaining that you can find the property deal, analyze it, and then find an investor, and he will pay you a fee for taking the property on. It was a little bit unrealistic for me. I thought it's maybe too good to be true.
Yeah.
But once I decided, I had to do it, because I said to everyone that I'm going to do deal sourcing, so I couldn't back off, and somehow I pushed myself from start to get where we are today. So that's kind of my story.
Wow, fantastic to actually sharing that with us, because obviously it's all about educating yourself, taking yourself to the next level, and then obviously surrounding yourself with successful people who are doing what you're doing, or who are doing better than what you intend to do. So, but then why property? Why did you decide to go into property?
Well, let me think. I remember the time when I had the cleaning business, and I was walking in Edinburgh one Saturday night with a friend, and he was already in a property, and he had very good connections with other landlords and property owners. And he was telling me, you see that building there, that's $500,000. You see the other one is 250,000. If we would buy 2 of those, renovate them and sell, you could make so much income that you make in 1 year in your business.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, okay, I really have no idea, or I really have no background with properties, but it just was very interesting for me, because property is a long-term journey. Like also investors, landlords who have portfolios, that's sometimes properties go from generation to a generation. So I really wanted to be someone who can do something long term for many years, and not changing jobs and changing businesses all the time and trying something else. So that's why I decided to go or to do something in properties. And I used to have any other service companies in the past. I used to have a cleaning business, then a leaflet business, and delivery company for newspapers and so on. But it's not something that you would do 10, 20 years. Whereas with property, it definitely makes sense to keep it for long term. Either you buy a property, or even if you are an agent selling properties. So that's something always will be demanding for people on the market. So that is why I decided to do that. And also, if I look at my past and my background with the other businesses, I think I was always good with marketing and selling. And when I say selling, I mean helping the 2 parties to come to an agreement and then have a win-win situation. And that's what keeps me going even these days, because it's not the money itself. I mean, you can make better income with any corporate job, basically. So it's not the money, but whenever there is a win-win situation, when I can connect the 2 parties, make a sale, and see that they are both winning from my help, basically. So that keeps me going.
Oh, wow.
And that's how I went to deal sourcing, basically,
Brilliant. Thanks so much for actually sharing that journey with us. So as you know, property investing, to me personally, is the best investment you could ever make, because of what you just said there. It's a tangible asset. It's a property. It's there for you. You can walk past it. You can drive past it. You can literally visit it. You can kiss it. You can hug it. You can do whatever you want with your property, right? It's not like stock and shares. When you've got £100,000 today, you wake up and you only got 50,000, for example. So it's there, and it gives you that passive recurring income, and you make money any sort of, like, for example, you're making money out of property without even owning it. So that's the joy about getting into the property investment journey. So and now you're having multiple sources of income coming through by working with different core sources. Exactly. So what would you say to people, maybe people who came from Slovakia, or maybe someone who came from abroad, or someone actually born and bred in the UK here? What are you going to tell? What would you like to say to people like that who are thinking about starting their property investment journey, but they're not really sure whether it is the right thing to do?
Yeah. Also, Rahim, I just want to touch on the point that you said, properties itself, they are the basic of the economy. If you look at any transaction, if someone buys a property, look how much work you give to people. There are builders with the families who does the job, and you help them. They are agents with families, any other companies, the industries in the economy are mostly connected with property. So I consider it as a very valuable and very important thing in the economy. So I'm very, happy to be a part of it in whatever way I can.
Of course.
So I would say we work with several co-sourcers, with several other deal sourcers who are part-time, and they try to bring in deals for us. It's not easy, it's not an easy job, because you have to be able to find the deals, and then you have to be able to sell them to investors. Yeah. So it's definitely not easy. What I would advise is to make a decision and then stick with it for long term. Because yes, at the beginning, I also had another income. So it's not like I started and from day one, I was making a living with deal sourcing. It took 3 months before I sold my first property deal. And then still today, there are months when we don't sell any deal, but then there is another month when we sell 8 deals. Like in March, last month, we have sold eight property deals. So wow, that's quite good. But then February was 0. So it's a very hectic job. I mean, for anyone who like to start with deal sourcing or even with any work coming to a different country, it's really a determination and going for it. Like I would say yourself and also myself, we are not originally from the UK. Yeah. And if you ask me, my language is probably even not perfect, but once you are serious, when you are honest and you're trying to help others, I think that counts. And definitely there are options and there are chances. If you look around, there are so many trainers who teach property businesses, and many of them are quite good. There are places where you can learn, study, train yourself, get contacts, get into a network. So especially today when you have the internet and the freedom of social media and all the easy connections. So there are several ways how you can get your feet on ground within property. It doesn't have to be just deal sourcing. I think that would be my advice, to decide and go for it. It's not easy. Sometimes I think when things are really hard and we have the deals, but we don't sell them, or when we have investors chasing us for properties, but we just can't find the right deal because the market is changing all the time. Sometimes I'm thinking, is it that we are not giving up, or is it already in a level of being insane? Because normally you would just get a job, a safe, secure job, and then get your salary at the end of the month, and then that's it. But I take it more as a responsibility and a duty for our investors, because they count on us. They need these property deals. And also from the other side, there are sellers and homeowners who are struggling to sell the property, or who maybe don't want to market it openly on the open market for whatever personal reason. So I think our job as deal sourcers is really valuable, and we are needed on the market. So for that reason, we keep going, because it's needed.
So you're absolutely right. Even some of us, we have lots of investors that we work with as well. So you're absolutely right. Sometimes you've got investors wanting deals and there's nothing out there. Because obviously you want to put a deal to investor knowing that there's a genuine discount on it, or it is off-market deal, or there's a benefit from that deal. It's not just sending deals to investors and then obviously hoping to sell it. So what we do in my organization, for example, at Bar Properties, we ensure we only push on deals that we can buy ourselves, right? If you cannot buy the deals, we don't push it on, because obviously you're talking about your brand, you're talking about your name, you're talking about your image. Because once an investor see a property that doesn't add up, no matter how many properties you've sent them again, they will not look at it. So again, we used to have a paranoia when I started about that. Oh yeah, we're not sending deals. But what we did tell our investors that, listen, you may not be getting deals from us all the time. The reason why we don't do that is because we don't just want to send you any random deals. We want to send you deals that we know we can buy ourselves, or deals that can add value to you. So that then releases the pressure on us a bit, and then we're able then to send these deals. As soon as we push those deals, they're going to get them straight away. Some of them know that we don't manipulate the figures. We don't actually make it look nice. It is what it is. We then push it onto them. Most of them take it on. 90% of them take it on straight away. And again, sometimes we have deals where the investors are not really interested in that specific area, for example. So recently we had few deals in South Wales where our investors were really keen to have properties in north of England and Scotland, by the way. So we got this deal. We did struggle to actually push those deals. We know they were better deals. They were genuine discounted deals, but because it's not the area where our current investors were looking at, we then struggled to sell it. So what we did basically is what you just talked about. We then co-sourced those deals and we're able to push those deals that way. So again, when it comes to deal sourcing, you're talking about properties, it's about working together. Right together, that's what is going, because imagine you sourcing a property now, you push that to investor, you help that investor renovate that property. What happens? You've employed someone who's got families, as you've just said. You pay those family, and then obviously they've got then their income that way. And guess what? You rent that property again to a family who needs it the most. And guess what? You make financial reward out of it. So again, that is the joy about investing in property. People think it's about money. It's not just about money, actually. It's about the impact you make on people's life, which I believe is what you've been doing anyways. I think you're doing really, really, really well there. What advice, maybe you could give to aspiring property investors that came from a different country, that worried about their accent, worried about not looking the same as the people here? What advice would you like to give to those people that would really lift them up to take the leap of faith to start their property investment journey?
Well, a very good question. You see, I work with so many people in our network. There are probably hundreds of investors, and when I say investors, anyone can be an investor. Usually our investors are people who have saved up some money, they have a family, they work full-time, and they are ready to make that money work for them. So I work with all kinds of people, and personally I think I'm lucky. I haven't come across any hardship in terms of making connections or building my network just because I am not from Scotland or from the UK. I think really the property business and the network itself, it's one of the best networks to be in for a mutual support. So if you look at any property groups, or if you go for any training, you will find people from all kind of background and from all kind of history. And what I find that it's very helpful. So also when I started, I went for networking events here in Scotland, and I got myself known, and I spoke with property investors who are 30 years in a business, or a mortgage broker who is long time in a business, and so on. So I made the connections, and I never got that feeling that they don't want to do business with me just because of maybe I'm not from Scotland. Really, all what matters is what you have in your hand. And I think the difference is, if you are serious with what you are doing, then you take care of that other person. So instead of just asking for help and waiting that someone will handle your issues and your problems, instead of that, maybe try to give yourself some help. And once you are trying to give away help to others, then you will receive back the same, no matter from where are you from, or what's your background, or what's your experience. I think property industry is one of the most rewarding businesses in that matters, because I have found a lots of competition and lots of pressure with other businesses I've been doing before, because there's a competition and they are like a little small company here and then the other here, and they fight for the clients. Whereas with property, I find that there is more cooperation. So here locally in Scotland, there are several deal sourcers who are doing very well too. And we all know each other, we all help each other. Is there a deal that they cannot sell? We can offer it to our investors. Or sometimes when we have deals that we cannot pass, then it goes around with other deal sourcers. So it's all based on mutual trust. It's all based that we know each other, we know the standards of each other, and then that way we can cooperate. Like when I started, I remember there was another deal sourcer here in Scotland. He was also starting at the same time, and I remember he wasn't happy to share any contracts or share any calculators and all that, because why? It doesn't make sense. The best thing you can do is to share, be in the network, help each other, and when there is a deal, I find whenever we have a deal, everyone involved wants to have a win-win. So rather than stay small and just work on your own little area, make the connections, see how you can help, and be open, and you will find the right people you can work with. So that would be my advice, basically, in the property industry, because really there are several deal sourcers and investors here locally in Scotland with who we work, and I wouldn't be able to sell so many deals if not those people, because it's just impossible for one person to do all the viewings and all the offers and all the analysis which these deals require, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. You've just mentioned that it's all about adding value. You know, if you're adding value, it's not about you, it's about what you do for someone else or to someone else. I've learned this from a coach of mine, Tony Robbins. He said, as long as you're adding value, right, you will get the reward. For example, if you join a networking event, go and serve, right? It's not about you taking, because some people got that habit. I want to grab.
Yeah.
If you think about what can I do to add value with the people I'm talking to, what can I literally show them or share with them that can add value to them, that would also allow them to share and add value to you. Because when I start my property investment journey, it was rent to rent. So what I did, basically, I went to this event and tell us I'm looking for struggling landlord who are really struggling to look after their property. I can take on their property with a guaranteed rent, right? Yeah. I added the value in advance. Like I told them, listen, even if you don't need rent to rent, come to me, I'll help you rent your property. So I was genuinely helping, because when I go to this landlord forum, most of them are struggling landlord. They're really elderly. They haven't got time anymore. They've literally just don't have time to look after the property. So I went there adding value. I let people know what I do in advance, add significant value in advance, and then I get the reward after. With some of my landlords that my agency work with, we help them do stuff. Some landlords ring me asking me for different sort of things, nothing to do with property. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Nothing to do with absolutely nothing. Some of them would be family issues. Some of them would be to help them look for someone that they need elsewhere. I help all that sort of thing. So I add value in advance before getting anything back. So again, that is absolute key. If you're going to do deal sourcing, it's just what Joseph said. It's about adding value, being open, networking with people so you can know them. Because as you said just now, you cannot sell all your deals. And obviously your investors may not be bigger investor portfolio as well. So you want to work with people to foster that synergy. So we have that people, we have co-sourcers ringing us every day and night saying, okay, I want to co-source with, we tell them what our requirements are. We say, okay, you can send a deal to me. I can analyze it. If it hits my investor criteria, I'll push it on. If it doesn't hit my investor criteria, unfortunately, I won't be able to push it on. But we also tell them, it doesn't mean because this deal hasn't hit our investors, you cannot send us future deals. Send in future deals. Whatever hits our investor list, we can push it onto those investors. Again, that's how we've been able to create a synergy and work with people from different backgrounds and cultures to actually get us to what we're doing. So now, I wanted to ask, you said you were able to close sometimes 8 deals a month. So just wanted to go back a little bit on that so that we can let our audience know. So you don't have to give me the exact figure. So how much do you reckon those 8 deals generate you in that one single month?
Yeah, so now just to tell you a little bit background. So with deal sourcing, you know, we have 4 types of deals. We have the refurbishment projects known as BRRRs. We have the flips, we have the rent-to-rent holiday lets, and we have buy-to-let properties. So depending how the market is at the moment, depending on that, different kind of deals will work in different times. So why am I saying it? For example, February was very difficult to find any property below market value that would work for a refurbishment project because how the market is. So in Scotland, any property goes above the asking price, above the home report. And because of that reason, it was just very difficult to find these kind of BRRR deals. And then we were thinking, okay, what else can we do? Because we kind of have to sell deals on a regular basis. So we said, if these BRRRs are now maybe just difficult to find, and I have checked with our investors, they have the same experience.
Even in England and Wales, basically, it was exactly the same.
Yes. And then property is selling 25-30% above the home report. So very difficult to make a deal out from those properties on the market. So we were thinking, what else is there from our network of investors that can work at the moment, but it's not a BRRR. So I have done a survey with our investors, and the result I have got back is that actually quite many of our investors are looking for turnkey buy-to-let investments, which aren't very deeply below the home report value, or they may be even slightly above. Today we have sold one which is 2,000 above the valuation, and the investor is still happy because it's a turnkey investment. He had 30,000 sitting on the account. With all the situation in the world, we see that probably money is losing its value quite fast. So it's much better to invest it in a property which will give a long-term good cash flow, and it's an asset for forever, than to keep the money on the account. So to make the story short, we decided to look more for these buy-to-let properties. So now in March, when we sold 8 deals.
Yeah.
4 of them has been buy-to-lets.
Wow. Really?
Buy-to-let properties, which weren't really deeply below market value, or they were in the area where the properties are maybe not selling that well, but it's a quality property which will give a high rental yield. So why am I saying it? Because the sourcing fee for buy-to-let properties is lower than for flips or for BRRRs.
Yeah.
So of course, these properties are a little bit easier to find, because all you need to do is to make sure that the area is good, so it will rent good, and your tenants will be quality tenants staying long-term in the property. Yeah. The other thing you need to make sure is that the property is in good condition, so there are no surprises. It's not that you buy a property and then 2 months later you realize that there is a leak that you didn't know about or something like that. Yeah. So we do all our analysis and we make sure the property adds up for a quality buy-to-let investment. And then we ask a lower fee. So the 8 deals, if it has been BRRRs or flips, we would talk about 20,000 income.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but because we have done quite a few buy-to-lets, and also the 8 deals has been sold, some of them with other co-sourcers. So the income for this month counted just below 10,000.
Wow. 10,000.
Okay.
Literally in 1 month, basically.
1 month. It wasn't 10,000. I don't give you the exact figure.
Okay, about 10,000.
Wouldn't be happy with that, but it was below 10,000 and it was more than 5,000.
Wow.
So
listen. Why I'm asking you this, Joseph, is for people to know that if you work hard, right, you can get the reward handsomely. You don't expect to actually start property investment journey now and get that reward straight away. As you just said, it took you 3 months to actually sell your first deal. So people can see then it fluctuates. If you can make £10,000 or say about £10,000 a month, imagine if you've added more value to other people, how much you could make. And obviously, even if it fluctuates, end of the year, you would end up making
end of the year, yes. So you see, Rahim, this is okay. Now let's talk openly about this a little bit. So look, there are positives and negatives with deal sourcing. So negatives, it's not stable. You don't know when you sell your next deal. Like my family is asking, okay, when I'm coming to Slovakia, when I'm coming for a visit. Well, I don't know whenever I sell a deal, because you don't know when that money will come in. The other thing is that it is very much depending on the market. So imagine before the pandemic, we were able to secure BRRR and flip deals any day. It was so kind of easy to find these properties. But then after and also during the pandemic, when the whole country was in a lockdown and the sellers have been having difficulties to sell these properties just because the agents haven't been able to do viewing. So imagine at that time we sold many BRRRs and flips. But now, after the pandemic, the market has opened and everyone is buying and offering above. So you see, it's very much depending on the market. And whereas a year ago, we could easily source rent-to-rent holiday let deals any day, Today, we are more focusing on buy-to-let because that's what is possible on the market. So, I take this as the negative part of the deal sourcing, because you cannot have the same routine all the time. Let's say you are very good with finding BRRRs, you do all the numbers, you have your routine, and then suddenly you need to change and you need to see what else you can find on the market, because you may not survive if you just look for one type of deals. So, and then, you will find that you spend a lot of time with finding BRRs and you don't find them. So you spend 1 month of work for nothing. And then okay, I have a 1 month, how you call it, a communication lag. So it took me 1 month to realize that this is a different market and I have to do something else. Hopefully someone else can make the decision faster. But anyway, we turn to look for buy-to-let properties. And these days we are focusing more on buy-to-let turnkey investments. And I can see that they actually work. Investors are happy. They want to invest. They want to spend their money on a quality investment. It doesn't have to be just a flip or a BRRR. It can be buy-to-let properties, or also what we source are rent-to-rent holiday lets in Edinburgh city center. Yeah. And those deals can come in any time. So that's the negative part, okay? The positive part is not just the money, but what's most important for me is when you make a win-win situation. When you sell a deal, suddenly you see everyone involved, the agent, the seller, the buyer, they have a very success feeling because they close the property for their investment. So that's very good. Another thing is, of course, your income, because I'm thinking, sometimes when you sell a deal, you can have 3,000-4,000 on the account straight away. It happened many times to us that morning I woke up with maybe 12 pounds on the account. Evening I was showing to my wife, look, we have 7,000. Wow. Okay, it did happen several times. So it's hectic, it's hard, it's difficult. But then if you keep it up, if you constantly keep going, there is no way that you're not gonna sell deals. Either way, it somehow will happen. You either find the deal, you get a deal from a co-sourcers, or, for example, you may be starting up and you don't have investors, then you find somebody who has the investors and you can make that income. So I would say it's difficult, but when you see the result, then I'm thinking, oh, I mean, this is not bad, for all that effort that you put into it, because it's one of the jobs that will really value your efforts. If you keep going and if you're willing to do the hard work, then the reward is very good. That's what's also important, But yeah, it's a very crazy job, that,
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. Like last week, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, we were able to sell within a week. We're able to push on 8 deals. Wow. 8 deals within a week, we were able to close it. Those deals generated, I think it was about £20,000, right?
Nice.
£20,000. So obviously, some months you can come along, you don't have anything. But as I said just now, if you add all those figures up, it literally generates you lots of money at the end of it, and plus you're adding value significantly. So what sort of skills do you think someone who wants to get into deal sourcing needs to have or need to consider having?
Okay, a good question. I would say one important skill is you kind of need to be able to sell, but not on the way that investors are experienced people. They know what they want and what they need. So when I sell, you need to be able to help the other party. How do I explain it? Maybe not to be very official. It's more a personal connection, and see how you can make a win-win. And I guess that's a skill, because I come across selling agents who are pushy, who will give you all the beautiful words just so you buy that deal, but then you buy it and they never talk to you again. So the skill, really what you need there is to be able and to be willing to stay on the line with that investor and that seller and be there for them to make the deal happen, and then stay with them even after if you are needed. So I don't know if that's a skill. If that's a skill, I don't know. It's a little bit different than in any other work, because how normally any other work operates is that you have your job description, you do that, goodbye.
Yeah.
So with deal sourcing, you cannot think that way, because you never can say goodbye. You are always there. You are always responsible.
Yeah.
You always have your neck on the line, whatever happens. So the investors will probably buy deals from you because they trust your judgment, and they trust that if anything goes wrong, you will be there to help, right? So that's one thing I would say. And the other thing is, the other skill that you would need to have is the expertise around the properties. And this, you can learn the basics on any trainings, how to calculate the numbers, what to check at the property, but you really need to become to a position where you have the expertise, and then after the viewing, you look at the property and you can already see if it's a deal or is not a deal. And that you cannot learn that any other way than just do the job and make a few mistakes, go through several deals yourself, and then you will have the expertise.
Yeah.
So I think these are the two most important. I don't know if you have anything else, Rahim.
Right. Yeah. So you're absolutely right. Communication is key. Building that relationship is also key. What we tend to do with my company here also, as you said, your neck is on the line. It's all about adding value. So what we do for our investors, basically, we say, okay, we'll help you get this deal, right? We'll stay with you on the course. We help them, provide them with mortgage brokers should they need mortgage brokers. We also tell them we've got solicitors also to actually help them do the purchase. If they need a bridging loan company, we also have direct contact to a bridging loan company. So what we do basically, we tell them, listen, we're referring you to those people. We're not making any commission out of it. It's purely just to help you to take your property investment journey to the next level. So that has helped us significantly because we're adding value in advance without getting anything out of it. Because we know if we're able to help them buy a property smoothly, they will not only come back to us, they would also refer other people to us. So that's how we've been able to actually bring that in. And I also believe in having the skills, like you said, communication skills, knowing how to analyze deal, finding a gold mine area. You need to have a specific area that you can concentrate your energy on, because you cannot look at Edinburgh today, Newcastle the next day, Birmingham the other day. You have to have a specific area, because once you have a specific area, then you specialize in that area or town. That's what I think we've been very, very good at. We concentrate in a specific area at a time. We'll say, okay, this month or these next 5 months, we're going to be looking at Liverpool, for example. Okay. Right? We go all out, looking at deals at Liverpool. We do all sorts of things to ensure we get that direct to vendor deals or actually go back to agents. But with our clientele, most of them are looking for properties that they could add value to. So during during COVID, when the government had the stamp duty holiday axed, when they have the furlough, as you said, properties were very hard to get. So what we're looking at basically by then was looking at properties that you could add value to. For example, property I can add a garage on, property I can have a loft conversion, property I can have a conservatory, or property I can convert into HMO or into flat. So these are the things we were looking for then. So when we look at those properties, but the reason why we look for properties like this, one, they are dilapidated building. Secondly, you can get them at that reasonable price, a discount, and obviously the vendor or the buyer would go and add significant value to that property, and they're kind of able to pull some of their investment out. So that's how we've been able to actually manage. So as a deal sourcer, person, I think you need to see that way. You need to have that eye for a property. Right? You need to look at outside of the box, say, okay, what can I do with this property? What are the potential would my investor get out of this property? You're buying the properties, you're looking at it as if you're buying it yourself. You're not thinking about the sourcing fee here. You're thinking about what you could add into that property, what sort of things you can bring into it. And again, if you've got that skills, attention to details, that would also help you. And then again, during the viewing, we look at the properties very keenly to understand what works required if needed. Double glazed doors, windows, what sort of things is required in that property, so we can jot that down and we can provide a rough estimate to our investors also to say, okay, this is how much the work in that property may be able to cost you. Again, that would depend on experience as well here. But if you've got a coach or a mentor or someone who's experienced to actually work with, they somehow will be able to estimate how much that renovation work would cost you. And the other thing also I think people need to learn is to be patient, right? Patient. I think it's a skill, because getting the property is hard, right? And as well as selling it is hard. Okay, people think, oh, when I got the property, I can easily sell it. Yes, you could in some instances, but you have to have the same energy, right? Some people get lots of energy to get the deal, and then they lose the energy when they've got the deal to push it, right? You've got the deal, now you have to literally have the more energy to be able to push that deal. So again, with that skill, you need that skills, and obviously you need to ensure your figures are working right. You need to ensure you're not inflating any of those figures. It needs to be realistic and have comparable there that would help the investor to make a decisive decision to purchase the properties. So that's how we've been doing it at Bar Properties. Do you have anything else you want to add on?
Yes, just one thing, as you say, Rahim, that when you talk about the power team, that yes, we source the property, but then we help the investor with a broker that we know he will do a good job, quickly get the mortgage for the investor. There will be a builder in place who I don't need to project manage properties. I never charge an investor for project management, and I don't get any money on the back end, because I'm so happy for this person I work with, because I am sure that he will do a good job. The investor will be happy, satisfied, and that's all what we are looking for. And then a solicitor, a local solicitor in Scotland, who I know that will help us to push through any deals. And you know how it is with solicitors. Usually the seller side is always delaying, so there's a lot of chasing and work involved. So you need to have quality team around yourself. And it's easy for me, and maybe also for you, to say that, yes, we have all the power team and we can take a good care of the investor for whatever aspect, mortgages, solicitors, builders, anything. But how you get to that point when you have a quality power team, that's the hard work. What you have to go through yourself when you start. So yes, you probably will need to take a builder with yourself on a couple of viewings. It did happen to me that I paid the builder to come with me, so I don't take his time just for free, and learn, okay, what are his costs, how he operates, can he do all trades? So you would need to do that at the beginning. Also, with anyone else in your power team, you would have to build that relationship, and it takes time and experience and deals until that relationship works. But I think that cannot be done any other way than just doing the job that you are doing. And then, exactly as you say, it's a very important part for the investors, because they feel that they are fully taken care of. So you have the people around you who will help your deal to go through. And that's, I think, what's important for the investors too.
Yeah, so that is absolutely right. So what does Deal Sourcer know that buy-to-let investor do not know?
What does sourcers know what buy-to-let investors don't know?
Yeah.
Okay, so good question. So look, most of the time these investors are not local.
Yeah.
So they are from some other area in the UK or from abroad. The reason why they would buy a property in my area is because the yield is better than what they get in their area. So investors around London, they tend to come up north because the prices are cheaper and the rents are higher.
Yeah.
Also, the second thing, if someone is not a local investor, he would need a power team in place to take care of the property. So what they need is one guy who they can contact, who will be their main contact person and who can handle all the aspects. From the official offer through a solicitor, through any refurbishments that are needed, and also to a rental. I don't do these things myself, but I have the right people and I can have control on the situation and make sure that things are moving from A to Z on the right way. And I think that's an unbelievable value for investors, because at the moment we are dealing with a buy-to-let with an investor who is in London, and the offer has been accepted. We know that the builder is going in for giving a quotation, and then there is a letting agent who will be serving the investor afterwards. But then we, in our company, I am basically the main contact to make sure all this happens. So another thing is, they may not know the areas. So there are properties on the market, but they can look very nice, but you don't know, because maybe that street, it happened, there was a street where it's a criminal area. You wouldn't want to live there. So your tenants probably wouldn't stay long, or, there can be issues in the future, but you not necessarily know that unless you know the area.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is negotiations. It's so much easier to negotiate on a price and actually make an agreement when you are there in person. So what we do, I visit the property, I view the property myself, I speak with the agent or speak with the owner and negotiate and close the price, or try to close the price. The other thing is the network, because we have sold several deals and we have bought plenty properties through agents. These agents knows us, and we have a better chance to make a deal with them, as if you randomly call up any agent and you want to offer on a property. They may go with someone else who they know that the purchase will go through without any issues. So there are several factors, I would say. I don't know, do you see anything else?
No, I think you've nailed it. That's what deal sources are. Because if you know the area, you can literally know what the area is like, compared to someone who lives in London who's looking at it on a computer screen thinking there's a massive return on investment there. So yeah, that is spot on. Your enthusiasm and your energy is what draws me to you when I saw you online. What really keeps you going without losing your energy and enthusiasm?
Good question. I hope my wife would be here, because she thinks I'm a little bit crazy. I think is I want to see this company working. I want to see a regular, ongoing income with other deal sourcers, with co-sourcers, bringing in deals regularly. And it's very hard to make that happen. And my whole purpose is that I want to see that company working. So I want focus sourcing. When I started, I had this plan. I said, I said, deal sourcing is difficult, but I will make it happen. So what I want to see in my company is that there are co-sourcers who can be maybe employed or just contracted with us. And I want to see deals coming in on a regular basis with a quality investor base, and sell them without me doing everything hands-on. So I want to get this company to a next level. So my background, I have sold 3 companies previously, 3 different service companies. And when I am happy is when I build something up that I see that it works. And it's not the money, it's just maybe I'm too proud to do something else unless I see that this is perfectly working, that there is a super good structure, that there is a certain level in the business that can have a value itself. So maybe that keeps me going. And I have a very clear plan with our company. I know exactly where I want to push it, what next steps we need to do to get there. And it's not easy, and it's a challenge. It's a challenge, it's not easy at all. But that's what keeps me going, really. And every time we sell a deal, and every time an investor thanks me for helping him to get the deal for him, that gives me so much extra motivation that whatever happened the day before, I am suddenly all happy and full of energy to go for a next deal. And that happened in March. I mean, February was very difficult. We haven't sold any deal in February, nothing. So it was very demotivational, and it was hard. But then March, it started to pick up, and we see things happening. Suddenly I'm back, and there is no way I'm going to let it go unless I see a certain level in the company that we have achieved. I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. It perfectly makes sense. So I'm pretty sure you will take it to the next level. You take that property sourcing business into the next level with that energy. I believe you will do it with the strategy you're talking about, working with different co-sources on a contractual basis or employment basis. That is what takes you to the next level. As long as you're not greedy, you're actually open to work with people, it would really, really, really help. So yeah, so well done for doing that. And I will own you to that. So I look forward to actually seeing that company to the next level.
Now you're going to hold me accountable for this.
I am only accountable for it, definitely. So you talked a bit about hard time. I am definitely inspired by someone who have overcome hard time. Do you mind sharing a time or event that was really hard time for you and how you overcame it?
let's see if, because it sometimes happens that we don't sell a deal. I think in all our journey on these 2.5 years, I think we had about 2 months. Now in February, and then before, there probably was 1 month when we haven't sold a deal. So that's really difficult, because you kind of have to count with it, which I don't. When I sell deals, I think I will sell now deals every day, and it somehow never changed. So, but I think that's not the hardest. You know what was the hardest? I remember once we sold at the beginning of my journey, maybe I was 6 months in a business, and I have sold 5 properties to an investor, and he couldn't get a mortgage on none of them.
Wow.
So there were 5 deals that fell through in a quick period of time. And I was kind of a beginner. I had my sourcing agreement, and I had my way of doing things, but it was a mistake from my side, because my sourcing agreement was made so that I do actually need to pay back the fees. So we agreed with the investor. He only took 50% back of the fees, because he also realized that it wasn't my fault that he couldn't get the mortgages on those properties. And from that time, I have changed my rules. The way how we do it now is that we check the financial situation of the investor, and we get our sourcing fee paid at the day when official offer is accepted on the investor's name. It's a little bit different in Scotland. Probably in UK, you wouldn't do it that way. In UK, in England, I mean, but in Scotland it's different. So the difficulty there was that I suddenly lost 50% of the income.
Yeah.
And those 5 deals were like really important for me. It was at the beginning, and I was counting on them, and then suddenly I was in a situation where I had to refund all of it. So we agreed with the investor, and there is no issue. He bought other 2 properties from us later on, but I remember that time I really didn't know how I will go around this, because there was quite a lot of money. And then the agreement was that the sourcing fee is paid when the offer is accepted, but there was a note in case he cannot get a mortgage, we are liable to refund.
Wow.
And I was thinking, oh, why wouldn't he get a mortgage? There shouldn't be any issue. And there was. So, Jesus, I would say, I don't want others to make the same mistakes as me. So it's better to be covered from start. The way how we do it now is we take the sourcing fee when offer is accepted officially, but first we make sure that the investor has a mortgage in principle, or he has a very good chance to get the mortgage. And we have in our contract a clause that in case the sale fell through because he is not able to finance it, then unfortunately we cannot give back sourcing fees. It just cannot work, because this is what we live from, and it's not our fault that the investor cannot get a mortgage.
Yeah, so we do something similar to that as well, because I've been in a similar situation with you as well, where the investor could not purchase the deal because a fault that is not ours but theirs, but we end up refunding their sourcing fees back, our sourcing fees back. But what we did also in our clause now to say, if the deal fell through that is beyond the investor's control, the fees are refundable. But if it fell through because of the situation of the investor, then unfortunately it's not refundable. So hence the reason why we ask them to ensure their finances are ready before they even put an offer in any of our properties. So yeah, we do something similar, because obviously end of the day, it's a business and you've got expenses to pay and all that sort of thing. So last question before we can do the quick fire round question. In the property investment world, or business, social media, or society, I see the first world problem of overwhelm. So many social media channels, everything thrown at you, and you see people driving expensive cars, living in lavish houses, showing they're making lots of money. How do you deal with such an overwhelm? Because you manage so many things right now, as you just told me about the deal sourcing side of things. How can people really get rid of that overwhelm and stay focused?
Yeah, also very good question. It does happen to me sometimes Two, that I keep being on social media and it's just too much, and everyone is doing is sometimes just too much. I try to stay away from what is not important. And the problem I had in past, I used to compare myself very much with others, you know, and then I was like, okay, this guy, he's new, and look, he sold the deal. I haven't sold the deal, you know. So and then I say I cannot live my life, or I cannot progress if I keep comparing myself with someone else.
Yeah.
So we have this agreement with so we have this thing with my wife. Every evening before we go to sleep, we ask each other what was the best thing in your day.
Wow.
And then, you know, and then we try to concentrate on what's the positive side of the things, and what is it I can do that day without focusing on anyone else, or how is other deal sourcers doing, or, you know, I like everyone to be successful. I'm not looking at other deal sourcers and being jealous if they sell more deals than me, or if they buy a new car. I don't mind. I'm not that kind of person, and that doesn't bring you anywhere to a good place. You know, you will be just frustrated and all that. I mentioned my wife because she's actually doing a big part in our sourcing company, because she does all the viewings and the due diligence and the analysis for the properties. So now she's actually away for a month, and I do really miss her, because there's so much work that she is putting into it, and it's not easy, and sometimes we are demotivated, but then we just say, you know what, tomorrow let's wake up and let's do the best we can. Yeah. And then we will see how it goes, you know. And usually when we do it with that viewpoint, things are suddenly going better. If we complain, or I don't really spend too much time on social media. I do post quite a lot. From usually the content I post is just the things I do. So something happened, I posted. I go somewhere, I posted, you know, because it's all property related. Yeah. But I'm not really relying on others from social media for my own success, you know. That's what I would say, you know.
Absolutely. So as long as you're better today than yesterday, you're progressing. Is absolutely amazing, because some of these things that you see online, you don't know how genuine they are either. So
no, you don't know,
but you don't know. So I like that way of thinking. Before you go to bed, asking yourself what is the best, what's the highlight of the day, is absolutely amazing. Exactly. I love that idea. It's all about staying on the positive side. Don't compare yourself with anybody else. Everybody have the unique journey. We have a thumbprint for a reason. It's because we're all different. We're all different human beings, and we can all do things differently. So that's what I tell my students. When things go tough, or my mentees, I tell them when things go tough is the time you buckle yourself. You tell yourself, I'm not going to give up no matter what. Because if everything is going well, you're not really progressing, right? The only way you advance is when you get to an obstacle. When you get to an obstacle and you overcome that obstacle, you've gone to the next level, right?
Exactly.
So if everything is easy for you, it means you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you are shrinking. Right?
True.
So that's how I see it. So sometimes I got some of my students, oh, Rahim, I'm not getting a deal. I'm really struggling. And could we go over this stuff? We go over this stuff. I found that they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. Right? I motivate them, tell them, don't give up. Guess what? Some of them, a month would come, they have 6, 7, 8 deals. To be like, what, Rahim? This is like a London boss now. You wait for them for so long. None of them turn up. And then within seconds, you see 3 or 4 of them lining up towards you. So it's about that. It's about when things go tough, that's the time you literally stood steadfast and push yourself. It's like going to the gym. When you're doing the reps, as long as you're doing the reps easy, you're not growing, right? You only grow when it hits that pain point, right? When you struggle to push. Any push you go from when you struggle is equivalent to the remaining reps you've done. Right?
True.
That is the analogy I give them. So when it goes tough, is the time you said, you know what, I'm gonna do this no matter what, you know, because it's gonna go tough, right? Property is not an easy game, right? It's lonely sometimes, it's gonna go tough, but if you've got a coach or mentor to guide you along the way, and you never have that giving up mindset, it takes you to the next level. That's what took me to the next level. That's what had helped me take my property investment journey from zero to a multi-million property investment business. It's only because I never had that giving up mindset. I said I will do it no matter what. I've gone through so many horrible things in my life in terms of people being racist to me and all that sort of thing. What I said to myself, that is someone else's opinion. It doesn't necessarily be the fact. It's what he thinks about what he thinks. It's not the fact. It's a perception. So obviously I carry on progressing and that's how we grow. So I like that. Having a positive mindset before you go to bed. That is a good one I've learned from you as well. So quick round question. Right? Okay. What's advice you remember receiving?
I don't actually remember the worst advice.
Okay, that's fine. If you haven't got one, it's fine. Best advice you remember receiving?
Okay, that's easier. That's easier. So I remember there was a trainer, was at a training event, and I was telling him, look, I have this cleaning business here. It's giving me monthly income, and it's kind of safe and that. And I wasn't sure if I should do this deal sourcing because it probably won't be so safe and so on. And he told me that he would rather have £1 on the account but being free as have £1,000 on the account but being locked in whatever company. So because of that advice, I said, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and do whatever I can and see how it goes. And I thank him for that. It was good.
Who is your favorite sports star?
Sports star. Okay, well, that's interesting. I don't actually have a favorite sports star. I don't actually have. But you know who I like? I like the old school bodybuilders, the Arnold Schwarzenegger and the guys like that. I like that. I think those times there was some real hard work in it, but I don't actually follow much sport these days because I'm a deal sourcer.
Fair enough. Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll take that. I'll take him all day long. So I like him also. He is one of my role models as well. Looking back at your 18-year self, what would you have done differently?
What I would have done differently? I would say I spent so much time, years with doing nothing, just living and I would, I'm not necessarily saying that I would do it differently because I did enjoy a lot and I had a very good life so far, but I would definitely start with doing something serious earlier.
Okay.
If I would start as an 18-year-old, what I do now, man, life is it's gonna be totally different. So definitely, yeah.
What was your inspiration growing up?
My grandfather.
Wow.
My grandfather, he was a very respected, serious person in the village where I grew up. He helped everyone. He was knew by other people that anyone needed something, they came to my granddad, and I really respected him for that. He was taking others before himself.
Wow.
And really, I loved him very much, and definitely him.
Fantastic. Your biggest regret?
My biggest regret? Honestly, I don't have regrets much.
That's good. Who is or was your role model?
My role model. Okay, so at the moment is, for example, Grant Cardone.
Grant Cardone, okay.
Yeah. Of course. So the level that he is doing business, and the reason is not because of the business, but he is one of those guys who can have everything. Yeah. As far as I follow him, and I met him also in person once. So what I know about him, he has everything. He does gym, he takes care of his body, he has time for the family, he's traveling, he's working hard, and how a heck is doing all that and still making such big businesses, you know. So definitely he's my role model at the moment.
Yeah, I like him as well. He is truly, Grant Cardone is a truly inspiring person to actually talk to. And you're absolutely right. He's doing lots of things right now. He recently interviewed former President Donald Trump in one of his events. So he's cool. Doing really well. I like him. I like his book 10X. I've read the 10X a couple of times. So it's a very, very, very inspirational person. Absolutely. I love it.
Yeah.
Is there something you believe that lots of people disagree with you?
I had friends who sometimes are questioning my deal sourcing business.
Yeah.
Are you gonna make living with this, or how long you wanna push it, or how much you think you have time left to put all this energy in it? I had a friend who was advising me to be a mortgage broker because that's much easier. I said, no, I'm keeping my deal sourcing, but I don't really have anyone who's like hardly disagreeing with me.
Right. What is the best book you've ever read or listened to?
Oh, definitely Think and Grow Rich.
Wow, man, I love that book.
That's my Bible. I read it 3 times, and now I'm reading it the 4th time. Not every evening, but when I can, I have it next to my bed and I read a chapter before I sleep. So definitely that book.
Yeah, I listen to that book or read it twice a year. So it's a very inspiring book. I like reading it. So I like the mindset side of things there. So that's good. Does money change you?
Not really, because when I have money, I usually don't have it. Like I don't spend money on myself that much, you know. So why? Because this is, for example, a 2-year-old jacket, you know, I'm still wearing. So when I have money, it goes somewhere where I can help. So my family is in Slovakia, and so I help them. I don't think money changes me, you know. I make money because I want to be able to do things with it. It's not because of the money itself, you know.
Fantastic. Does money make you happy?
Not the money, but when I can do something positive with the money, that makes me happy. That makes me happy.
Yeah, same here. Is there something you used to strongly believe you recently changed your mind on?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Is there something in the world you fundamentally think is wrong and you would like to change?
Also not. Sometimes I think that maybe I am like, I consider myself to be very persistent. I stick to one thing for a very long time, and sometimes I'm thinking maybe that's not very beneficial. Maybe I should be open to more ways. Or I give you an example. Most of the deal sourcers, they do property management, or they go into other parts of the business, but for some reason I only keep doing deal sourcing. I never went into other things, and because I have my vision, and that vision I need to see a reality. And is that vision like the most best way how I could do it? I don't know, but I kind of keep it. So I would say it's a positive and negative, because I stick to things that I decide, and I can be very persistent, but sometimes it causes me to not be too open for other things, if you know what I mean, you know?
No, I think that's a strength, because it's all about focus. You know, you have to focus in what you're doing. As we talked about what's happening in social media right now, people are talking about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, NFTs, and all that sort of thing. If you want to do all of that sort of thing, you just get distracted and end up not doing anything. For example, you're doing deal sourcing. That's what you like to do. That's what you focus on. You focus in, and now you can see it's paying off. You know, so I'm exactly like you. I'm focusing one thing, I get it done. That's it. You know, so for me, focus is key. This podcast is called Property Investment Blueprint. What does Property Investment Blueprint means to you?
It basically, what it means to me, that it gives you the exact steps what you should follow in order to get where you want to be in a property business. It's a very good name, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. Final one. If there was only one person you'd love me to interview, who would that person be and why?
Okay. So one person. How about you do an interview with Grant? Call him to UK and ask him all the questions you just asked me.
Okay. Grant Cardone. Okay, I'll try that. I'm not sure he would reply back, but I will try. You know, I know someone who knows him, someone who brought the guy that brought him in Cardiff, because it was in Cardiff few years ago, and England actually. So I will ask him. So hopefully he'll be able to get me in contact with him. Definitely. So anybody else?
That would be great.
Do you think anybody else you would love me to interview that is UK based?
Yeah. So okay. So if we can get Grant on the interview, then because your podcast is a property blueprint, it would be probably very beneficial to have someone who is a landlord with over 100 properties.
Okay.
So that would be interesting to hear the story and how and what he has done, that he has so many. I know a guy here in Scotland, but I don't know if his name is Alex. He has over 100 properties. So someone who owns properties and has a substantial portfolio of them, because definitely it would be helpful for everyone to listen about experiences.
Of course. Would you be able to get us his contact? Hopefully I'll be able to approach him.
Good question. I would. Yeah, I will connect you with him.
If you could send me his email or mobile number, I'll see if I can give him a shout. And hopefully
I will give you his
contact. Have him on board. What an amazing way to actually end. And that was really a great special moment to actually learn about your property investment journey, knowing how you started. So thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. Where should we follow you? And where are you hanging out in social media if we want to contact you, maybe to help us get below market deals, off market deals? What is the best way we could contact you to help us get the deals that we're looking for?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it was also really, really good to talk with you, and I appreciate very much that you have invited me for this, and I hope we gave some value to your listeners. I'm on Facebook, so if you look for my name, Jozef Toth, easy to find me on Facebook. And also I have a website where there is a contact form, and it's basically a platform for deal sourcers and investors and whoever who want to be in contact. And the website is dealsfromscotland.co.uk. Deals from Scotland, very simple.
Wow, that's good. So is that deals with an S, right? Dealsfromscotland.co.uk.
Correct. In one word. Dealsfromscotland.co.uk. Correct.
Okay. Are you on Instagram as well, or LinkedIn?
Yes, it's also my name, Jozef Toth. Instagram, Facebook. Easiest to contact me is on Facebook, on Messenger. I reply on all the messages usually. So definitely, yeah.
Fantastic. This has been so good. Thank you so much for sharing your life passion with us. Love you, bro. You've done absolutely amazing in the short time you started your property investment journey. Thank you so much for actually having me, and have a great and amazing day.
Thank you, Rahim. Also to you, to everyone who is watching and who is listening. Thank you so much. Have an amazing day down there. We are quite far away, but you see, the world is not that big, good people can meet all the time. So thank you so much again.
No problem.
Thank you. Take care.
Fantastic.